Welcome to Vintage Gaming Memories. Shall we play a game?
Jordan drives again. How high can you get up? And the foul!
Hello everyone, thanks for checking out this video. We're jumping into this one right now. These are two items I purchased from two different sellers, and it should be a nice fit for my vintage handheld game collection. Let's get these opened up right now. Here they are. So the one on the left, this is a 1978 Mattel Electronics basketball game. And the one here on the right is a 1979 Mattel Electronics Basketball 2. I had to get these because how could you have a vintage handheld game collection without them? You know, actually I was surprised that the only basketball games I had were Bandai Electronics 1978 Basketball. Then I have the Regency Electronics 1979 Harlem Globetrotters Basketball. And then I have the Fonnis 1978 3 games in 1 with basketball. I would have thought that the bigger names like Mattel and Coleco would have been the first and easiest ones for me to get, but I figured I'd go the harder path, and hey, better late than never, right? This 1978 Mattel Electronics Basketball, which is the original one, I only paid $10 for it, and it was advertised as being in very good working condition. Now the other one is the 1979 Mattel Electronic Basketball 2. I paid $16 for it, and it was noted as being in working condition. Now, no boxes for either of them, but the battery covers were still there, and you can see the stickers look really good on both of them, on the back as well as the front. So, no complaints there. Looks good so far. $26 for 2 working games seemed to be a pretty good deal. And I also have a battery that came with it. Not a bad deal overall. Plus, I needed them to complete my collection, at least for the Mattel side. Now, let's just take a quick look at both of these before I clean them and polish them up. Let's start with this original Mattel Electronics Basketball. Very simplistic, but we'll get to the more functionality of these games later. But you can just see there's really no damage, no, discoloration on this lighter color shell. Usually those would be yellow or maybe cracked or whatever, but this looks really good. All the screws are there. Let's see the 9-volt battery compartment. Whoa, there's a battery in there. Uh-oh. We'll take that one out. Can't remember how long I've had this, so it hasn't been years, but I'm glad I finally opened this up because I don't want a battery in there. Not yet. But the battery connection looks really good. And there is a stamp for 1978. Yeah, this looks good. All the buttons sound good. And it is in the off position, thankfully. Little minor scuffs on the display that I can easily buff out with some of that Novus 1 product of mine. I just picked up some more. Here's the latest version of Novus 1. My original one has been emptied out. So that's the one I'm using. But this one looks good for the original 1978 version. And then 1979, the sequel. A lot more going on this one, which we'll talk more about in a little bit. This is a different color, and it looks pretty good. Let's see how the battery compartment looks. Not bad. The original one is definitely in better condition. You know, this is still very nicely maintained and looks really nice. The play field area doesn't have any scratches on the colors, at least for the three-point line or the key or the hoops or any of the sidelines. They all look good. Some of these games get all scuffed up and you have to kind of touch them up, which thankfully I don't have to do it with this one. These are soft buttons. You can feel cushion to each button as you press them in. So we'll give this both a test. First of all, like I do with all my games I get, we're going to clean this up, do some Novus 1 polishing on it, get all the scuffs and any smudges or whatever there might be on the plastic nice and clean and smooth. And then we'll talk about the functionality of both of them, and we'll play a few games, or maybe a couple games. So I'll be back in 1 second. All right, everything's been cleaned up and polished. Turned out pretty good, actually. This Mattel Electronics Basketball first version, 1978, looks really good. Like I said, it looked like it was brand new. It had really little wear to it. But when I was cleaning it, I noticed something that was kind of interesting. On the casing here, the molding that they made, it had a future option for an AC adapter connection. And obviously that was not available for this particular model, but as we look at this one, you'll see it does have it. There you go. So this one turned out pretty good too. It had a little bit more on the scuffs and scratches on the display for the plastic. I did my best to polish that off, so it looks pretty decent. Again, I haven't put batteries in yet. As you can see, the batteries are over there. Overall, everything seemed to come out pretty good. I'm happy with the way it looks aesthetically. Now, let's put some batteries in there and test these out. We'll first go with the Basketball 1, the very first version. So let's move this to the side, and we'll get to that one shortly. All right, before we actually go ahead and put the battery in, let's actually test this out because this is the one I found inside the game when I opened the box. So let's just make sure there's still juice left in this one. And I'm looking to get at least 9 point something, 9.28, 9.27, that looks good. So that's doable. I'm not leaving these batteries in these games anyways. I'm just going to show you how these games play with the batteries in them, and then I'm going to take the batteries out. All right, the battery's in, game is ready, but before I turn it on, just a quick run through on how this game works. It's very simple, just like the way it looks. It's simple looking and it's simple to play. So here we go. On the left is the home team. On the right is the visitors. Over here in the center middle area, down below, will be where you'll see the 24-second shot clock, as well as the clock for the game and the score. And then on the court itself, you will see the players. Over here on the buttons, you have two blue buttons with a basketball on it. That's how you can shoot. You can use either one, and the red buttons are directional buttons. You have options 1, off, or 2. 1, turning it on, would be the easiest or the basic skill level, which would be normal play. 2 will be a little bit faster, and they say it's strictly for champions. Now here's the catch to all of this. Yes, it's a 2-player game, and it's a 1-player game as well. However, regardless of 1 or 2 players, it will always be you on offense. That's right, you never play defense. The defensive side of this game is controlled by the computer, and you can tell that it's kind of odd that you don't see an indicator for 1 or 2 players on here. So how does this work? The game starts off, the first and the third quarter, the visitors will have the ball first, and they have their chance of scoring. Second and the fourth quarter, the home team will get the ball and have their chance to score. Now, 24-second shot clock is in effect, and in those 24 seconds, you can try to score as many times as you can. Every basket's worth 2 points. There's no 3-pointers. So yeah, in 24 seconds, how many points can you score before it goes to the other team to take their turn to see how many points they can score in 24 seconds? And it goes back and forth until the time is up for that quarter. You can lose the ball in those 24 seconds easily by attempting a shot in which you miss and the computer, the defensive side, gets the ball, and now it is the other team's chance to be on offense. You really don't have 24 seconds each and every time. You have 24 seconds if you don't turn it over. That's the challenge. No passing. You only have 1 player you're controlling on offense. So you're going to just maneuver around to get a nice clear shot. And you don't want a defender between you and the basket, or else you won't be making that shot. There is no out of bounds. You don't have to worry about that. No fouls. Seems pretty simple, right? Now, if you're playing 1 player, how is this going to work? Because it's going to keep changing back and forth. Well, yeah, you're going to be playing both sides. Offensive side for both the home and the visitors. Now that's all said and done, let's go ahead and turn this on, but I'm going to adjust the camera once again so we have a good view of this, because I'm sure this will flicker if I don't change the speed of my camera. All right, let's turn this on. Let's see if I can get myself positioned here, which I think I'm good. Awesome, it lights up. Those are the 5 defensive players you can see that are dimly lit, and that is the defense being controlled by the computer. And then again, visitors start off with the ball in the first and third. So that's why that bright dot there is me. on offense all by myself. 12 minutes per quarter, which is really 2.5 minutes in actual time. It'll go by a lot faster. And the game doesn't start until I start moving. So let's begin. There we go. And it ticks. Now I don't have to worry about turning it over, so I'm going to try to get a nice open shot. Nope, missed it. Turn it over. 11 minutes left. And now it lights up for the home team because that's the offensive player there. And we begin again. I keep trying to shoot it, think I can get over that defensive player, but no go. All right, back to visitors. Let's see if I can make a basket here. The clock is ticking away. They block me every time. There we go. Basket in with 2 seconds, 24 seconds. All right. That's how it works. Back and forth, 24 seconds, or unless you turn it over. And now I have 9 minutes left in this quarter, which 3 minutes went by very fast. Let's see if we can score one more time here. And this is the home team. Come on. Okay, and let's see if we can do it again. Clock is ticking. Come on, move. I'm going to fast forward the video. We'll get to the end of the quarter, just see what it looks like and what it shows. So that sound was the end of the quarter, the first quarter, and we continue on until the end of the game. So let me show you, as I fast forward through all this, what it looks like at the end. That marks the end of the game. 26-36. The first score is the visitor score, and the second score is the home team. My take on the game, it's pretty fast and it's pretty challenging because you try to get through the defense and they just stand there. The computer is not moving or budging, and they can't steal the ball. You can't pass, so you just kind of try to time it and see if there's a sequence. The most I've scored in my possession of the ball was 3 times, and I've done it twice. It's possible to get that and then some in the 24 seconds you have. But it's also possible to shoot and get the rebound and continue on with whatever time is left on your 24-second clock to get it shot in and maybe score another 2 points. Overall, I think this game was pretty cool. 10 minutes of playtime, I think it took. If you're playing with a friend, probably more enjoyable because 10 minutes for me playing both sides After a while, I couldn't tell who was winning. I had to kind of look at the score, and it goes by pretty quick. That is Mattel Electronics Basketball from 1978. Think it's a pretty cool game. Tell me what you guys all think. Comment down below. And now we're going to take a look at Mattel Electronics Basketball 2, the sequel to this game. Here we are with Basketball 2, the sequel to the one I just showed you earlier. And this one is something else because I looked through the manual, pulled it down from online, read through, I think it was 14 pages worth, and this is like night and day. There's a lot of things to talk about on this one. But before we do that, let's get a battery in there so we can get it ready to go. I am going to, let's check out this battery. This is the one that came with it. And I don't know how much charge is left on this one. We'll see. We got 8.58. All right. Let's go with the Duracell one that we just used. That was well over 9. You can see it did drop a little bit since I used it with the basketball game earlier. But we'll continue using the Duracell. Let's put it in so we can have it all ready to go. And then I'll explain a little bit about this one compared to the other one. You figure, is a sequel always better than the original? Well, this one is definitely a lot different. I don't know if it's better. We'll find out. So I'm going to go over really quick on some of the changes, enhancements to this game compared to the first one. And there was a lot because the manual was 14 pages, and I was just amazed on how they enhanced this game from the last one in just 1 year, actually. If we look at the court here, there's some differences. There is this blue perimeter line around there, which is, of course, the three-point line. So yes, you can do three-pointers in this game. And then this red box is the lane indicator. So yes, you can get a 3-second violation if you're on offense and hanging around under the basket. So that's kind of cool as well. If we jump down here to the controls and buttons, so you do have your 4 directional ones still, and you still have a shoot button, but now you have a pass button. So that would mean you have another player on offense to play with. And that's true. So the ball handler in the last game was a solid light on the court. Well, now you have a solid blinking one, which is the pass receiver. And then, of course, the other player, which is the ball handler, will be a solid light. And then the 5 on defense will be dim lit. This is still a 1 to 2 player game. However, you have now options for defensive strategies. You can play defensive man-to-man, zone, or press. Well, you don't play it. You tell the computer how to play it against the offense. So this is how it works. If you're playing a 2-player game and you're not on offense, you're waiting for your turn, you would cover this up or take it to the side and you push whatever defense you want to be played against the offensive player that's playing. So you take turns by doing that, and you make sure your opponent doesn't see what defense you call each time they get the ball. And if you're playing by yourself, well, you obviously can select your own defense you're going to go up against. So the computer still plays defense, but you can call what kind of defensive play or strategy you want against the offense. And then the last option here and function is the skill level. You see the off switch, Pro 1 and 2. Pro 1 and 2 are not the only skill levels you have. There's actually 2 more. So starting with Pro 1, they call that really high school level. And as you increase in the skill level, it becomes faster for the gameplay, which makes it more difficult. Pro 2, they consider that as college level. So now if you want to get past those 2 skill or speed levels to the third one, what you would do is in the off position, hold the man button down, which is the man-to-man defensive button, and turn it on to Pro 1 at the same time. That will enable skill or speed level 3, and they call that one All-Star. Now the last speed level is 4, and it's called Professional. Same thing, you hold man down, turn it on to Pro 2, and there you go. Pretty cool on hiding those extra levels in there. The game rules are pretty much the same as the last one. There are 12-minute quarters, which really is about 2.5 minutes to 3 minutes a quarter. And there's a 24-second shot clock. There is now a 3-second violation, as I mentioned earlier. One major difference here on scoring for this game is that, yes, there's a 24-second shot clock, but you don't get to score as many times you can in 24 seconds. It is just that like a regular basketball where you have 24 seconds to score, and if you do score, then it becomes the other player's turn, or if you turn it over, it's the other player's turn. If you have a 3-second violation, it's the other player's turn. And if you get fouled, you can actually take a free throw. So that's a cool feature as well. If you get fouled in the act of shooting, there's no other type of fouls. There's no on the court foul. It's only going to be during the act of shooting. So then you have 2 shots if you get fouled. But if you make the basket in the act of the foul, you will actually have an and one. I think that's pretty cool that it actually gives you the and one. With this added player for offense, the pass receiver, they call it, you don't really control it while you are the ball handler. It will be controlled by the computer as far as try to get open. And then once you do pass it, that pass receiver now becomes the ball handler, and the ball handler now is a pass receiver. So you'll see it switch roles once the ball handler passes the ball successfully to the other player. The passing in this game is interesting. You really don't need a clear line of sight for the pass to be successful. The manual gives a little example of how to pass it. So you can see there the receiver and the ball handler and a defender. If it's kind of like one away from the handler, you can pass it successfully. But if it is like 2 defenders between, you're not going to get a successful pass. Or if it's just 1 defender in between the 2, you won't be successful. So those are different ways of passing the ball successfully or unsuccessfully. Also in the manual, it noted that with the free throws you get for getting fouled, it's often when you're closer to the basket that you'll get called for the foul. You won't be getting a 3-point shot foul. It will be only pretty much within the basket range. So it will be either the 2 shots for the foul or the and one if the basket was made when the foul occurred. Another feature was added in this game is for overtime. The game is tied at the end of 4 quarters. It just doesn't end there. It will allow it to go into an overtime mode, and that will be for 5 minutes. And there is a total of 10 overtimes that you can have. So that is pretty cool. They really added a lot of new features in this game compared to the last game, and that was 1 year later. So I'm excited to try this, but it did say it takes some practice on getting the passing figured out, and that's probably the best way to play the game, to go and pass, get closer to the basket, and then shoot. With all that said, a lot of information. Let's just even make sure this works, first of all, because that's the first time I put the battery in. I haven't even turned it on. So let me position this camera so we can actually get a better view, and then we'll cross our fingers and turn this on. All right, here we go. So everything should be hopefully looking clear and looking good for this camera view. And we are going to power this on to Pro 1. Nice, it works. So we have the 12, which is how many minutes for that quarter, which is really not actual minutes. We know it's between 2 to 3 minutes. Then those 5 dim colored lights there are the 5 defensive players that the computer controls. The blinking brighter one, that's the pass receiver, which is the new feature. And then the bright solid one is the ball handler like we had before. Another cool feature with this game is that you can now press this down arrow button, which has a little, I think it's a little circle on it. If you press it down, you see that over there, 0-0. That's the score. So now you can see what the score is while you're in the middle of a quarter. And before, it used to be at the end of the quarter that you would know the score. So this is kind of cool. You can actually see where you're at in the game. And I think that's about it. So let's get this thing going. I am going to select my defense here. We're going to go with a man-to-man. And then once I start moving, the game will begin. So let's see if we can get a shot in, or a pass to get closer to the basket, and then a shot. So that's a turnover. When you hear those 2 whistles, that's a block shot or pass, ball out of bounds, or too much time taken without a shot. Basically a turnover. So now we are playing with the home team is up. Oh, and that's the other thing. Just like the other game, quarters 1 and 3, the visitors start off with the ball. Quarters 2 and 4, the home team. Let's see, we'll go defense zone. All right, that's a successful basket there. That's a two-pointer and a nice pass that was quick and close to the basket. Let's see if I can get a foul this time. I'm going to just keep trying until I can get a foul, which requires me to get close to the basket when I take a shot. All right, finally, I'm at the free throw line here. I got fouled in the act of shooting, did not make the basket, so I have two shots, and it's just pure luck, but it says most often you'll make it in. There's nothing to time it on. Made that one in. One more. I missed that one. So it's kind of cool. You get your rebound, and you can try to still make a basket in. Let me see if I can get a three-pointer. Haven't done that yet. So that is a three-pointer. Just had to get an open shot there. Not as easy as it looks. This game is a definite improvement from the last one. There's just so many more ways to score. There's more strategy involved, especially when you can control some of the defensive positioning when you do a man-to-man or zone or press coverage. And there is the 3 points. There's the 3-second violation. I mean, there's a lot of nice stuff I think that's added to get more realism to the game. I guess the next level would be a full court version of it. I think it's a nice improvement. Comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. If you had this one or if you like this one versus the last one I just showed. I think I prefer actually this one, even though, the original is always cool, but I like the improvements that they made. And it's not as easy as you think, especially when you have 4 different speed levels to choose from. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. This is the Mattel Electronics Basketball from 1978 and the Mattel Electronics Basketball 2 from 1979. Until next time, keep that gaming passion from the past alive by living it today. Take care, everyone.